Okay, so what we have done so far is that we can use the form, and our form has been intentionally simple. William, how many input elements do I have in this form? 2, right? 1? 2. So these are a few HTML input elements in a form. And I've shown you guys that this is item name, but you could do different things, right? This is, for example, your name, and this is email. What happens when we do that is that we can submit them. When you submit them, everything is wrapped up in a params. Okay? So, one more time, this form is rendered out to the screen over here. And I'm going to prove to you that in this form, right here, you see the form submit, action submit, okay? Action submit here is the same as /submit. It means it will go to the /submit page, okay? When you visit this URL from the browser, that is a GET request to the URL. Do we have a GET request to /submit? Do we have it? I'll let you look at the app. Do we have it? Do we have apps /submit as a GET? I'm going to type it here, press enter, okay? Sinatra say, I don't know it, man. I don't have GET submit. What do we have instead? Post. So this is a page that you say you can only access this page by submitting a form to it. And how do we submit the form? You create a form and then you tell it to go to a different page. Here, sometimes we call it a route or page. Okay? So, /submit here, no question about it, right? Method post, the default is get. And I already showed you guys that, if you go to google.com, you type any search query in there, that's a get. Okay? If you go to gmail.com and you log in with email and password, this is a method post. Yes, Ian?
So, because we don't have a link to the /submit,
Uh-huh.
so we can post whatever we want. What is what the same as the answer?
Must be the same as what?
As the answer in the form.
As the
The name
action.
plus,
Yeah, it has to be the same. So if you do like here submit to, Sine, if I do submit to here, or then, let's say I go to /create, the action is create. What route should I add in here? Yeah, what route? Okay. Look at the form here. Action create. Ian, can you try this question? If I press next now, where does it go? Do you see the word create here? If I press next now, where does it go? Yeah. And it goes to post/create. Okay? These are the things you guys can try when you get things to work the first time. You can try with a second input and a third until you get it, right? But that could be one way. So I name it submit, so I just keep it there, okay? Let's change it back to submit. I already have post submit in here, so I'll keep it this way. So far so good? We're just reviewing. But we want to do more. Let me enter 3 values here. The first one is what? This is item name, so let's say buy milk. The second, we have 3 text input here. So let's say my name is Justin Bieber. And the third one, my email is j@be.com, and I press submit. So by now, a lot of you start to be familiar with the params variable. You guys see item name is my milk, name is Justin Bieber, and email is JB here, right? So William, how many input elements do we have in here?
4.
4, right? But how many of them have name attribute in it?
2.
2?
1.
1? 2?
wait.
3?
3.
Does this one have a name attribute in it?
That's not.
That's why you only see 3 in here. 1, 2, and 3, right? The stuff in the name attribute becomes the key of the hash in params. The value becomes the value. Now the value is what you enter there, but if you have the value here, it will pre-fill the text field with it. For example, here, name here, I pre-fill it. For example, the first one, item name. Do you see the word Justin here? That is the value that will get submitted until you change it. Look at the text down here. If you start typing, the value will, when you change it, I guess it doesn't change. This is interesting. I was expecting it to change down here, but it's not. But this is the initial value. But then you submit, right? It get submitted in here. Okay? So be comfortable with the input elements. Now I only have 2. And I'm going to introduce you guys to more input element types. I have a checkbox type. That's for those who did the done task. So if I add a checkbox and then maybe I say done question mark here, and I run it right here, this is where I can add a checkbox. But when I submit, look carefully when I submit, okay? Justin and done. I only have Justin. Why is it so? Why is it so, Quý? It doesn't have a name yet, right? So let's say you name it done. And you refresh it. You press here. Then you get to see this done. And the funny thing is, when we don't press submit. You guys see the difference? So what is the value of done when you check it? On. That's the default value. But sometimes it's not clear, right? So sometimes a lot of us want to make it true or 1. It's just clearer. So if I now render it and I submit, it's now done 1. If I don't, it's not submitted. Are we clear with the value? Name and value? Okay. You could do radio button. You can try it, right? You can radio. Just remember the yes no radio button sometimes, right? So radio yes. Same idea. You can display that. For example, maybe the right way to do it is maybe put them in a div. Oops. Like this. This is yes. Alright, keep the done thing up there. Alright, so you can do no the same way. This is your yes, and this is your no. Right? Now, what is missing? Name? Name here will be like, for example, remember me or something else. I don't know. So remember me. Okay, let's try it. If I choose yes in remember me, I press next. It's also on and off. But this is the magical part about remember me. both of them now are the same thing, right? You click this, we choose this, if you click this, it will deselect the other one. So that's quite unique about radio button. So it means over here you do want to give it a value to be very clear. You can make it yes, no, or 0 or 1.
If you wouldn't have put anything in now, would it have given back off?
Then it will not. You just select this, nothing gets submitted. If you select yes,
I mean, if you select no, does it give back off? Remember me?
Go.
come again? Wait, sorry, Oscar, can you ask again?
Yeah, the default value for yes right now is on.
Right, but now I just put it as value.
But before that, and then if you would select no, I'm just curious if it would.
If you have this,
default is off.
do you turn off value for both?
Yeah, and then click no.
It won't be able to understand no, right? There's no on off. This will still be on.
Okay.
This will still be on. There's no way HTML can tell the difference.
Okay.
So that's why for radio button, you want the values to be different.
Because it's the same thing for him, right? For
It's very similar to checkbox. There's an on thing. Except for checkbox, you can check multiple things. I can show submitting multiple at the same time later, but alright. So any question about radio button? If I click yes, I get remember me 1. If I click no, I get remember me 0. Are we okay with that? Yeah? What else could we try?
So the type submit, we don't have a name type submit.
Where? This one? Yeah, so I showed this earlier when you have multiple buttons. Sure, if you have a name here, maybe I call it button. See what happens. I will have button next. Right? So if you have, there's a next button and there's a previous button, you can put it under the same name. Then you will know what button get pressed. This is a next button that got pressed. Previous button that got pressed. So you can handle your page accordingly. Does that still make sense? Do we start to feel more comfortable about the name and the value? These are all in your input. Okay? So I'm going to need one extra name. So I'm going to go there and start doing that. My to-do is going crazy now, so I'm going to delete all of these guys. Alright. Here, I'm going to show you how to implement marking one item is done. Are we ready for that? Marking one item is done is not really simple. Here's the item. Imagine I have a button here that will mark it as done. Here's the submit type, and value of that is marked as done. Good? The value gets displayed. So now you have these marked as done. So far so good? But if you press on this, what do you think will happen? Where does it go? These buttons are meaningless. They're not inside any form. Where's our form? Way down here. You see the form here? You cannot just have a button outside. You can have a link. The link can go somewhere, but cannot have a button. So William, if I ask you to put this button inside a form, can you help me?
Would you put underneath?
I just put it inside a form, literally. That's all I'm doing. Put it inside a form. Does that make sense? I put it in a form. Okay? So let's try. I put it inside a form, so if I refresh, do you guys see something funny? Can someone guess why? I just put it inside a form. So the element around this input is now a form. And a form is a block. An item is just an inline, so similar to span. But when you use a form, it's similar to a div. And if you add a div after something else, it always just take up the whole line, right? That's why this form is like that. You can even see this form, all HTML form has a default margin bottom. Did you see the margin bottom, the orange area? So that's your form. If you don't want it to take up space, change the style. So let's change the style. Here's your form. You see the browser automatically put form like 1 EM, it's like 16 pixel here. So I can do something like all form, please, let's say in this case I say display inline. Then you see the button is display inline again. Or I can say float right. You can make it float right. It's up to you how you handle this form container. Okay? If you really want to know what space is it taking up, why don't you mark it with a border so you can see? Okay? So far so good with the form. I'm going to keep the form as all the form will get border 1 pixel solid red to make it very clear to me. Alright, do we understand this syntax? A form element will have this border all across our page. So it's easy to see. If I refresh, it looks like this now. Are we comfortable with the red lines? So with that, I start to think, when I click mark as done now, what happens? Quý, can you guess? Mark as done. You guys see, it will go to slash, and that's it. It's very similar when we first learned how to use a form, because this is an empty form. Here's my empty form, and that's not good, right? The form is just going back to the page itself. So what do I want it to do? Lewis, I should take it somewhere else, right? Take it to a page that can mark this item as done. So how do I do that? I add an attribute called actions. Thank you. And where should it go? Where should it go? Okay, so you can maybe post back to the same submit. I don't like going to that page because that page is responsible for creating a new item. Let's create a new one. Okay? So maybe I call it toggle. It just mark something is done or not done. Is it okay? So again, this slash here is optional, so no need. Okay, so if I do this now, and I click on this, it's going to go to toggle, but it's still a get request. But we're making changes to the items, so it should not be a get request. Right? You don't want someone else to keep going to this website, enter, and that is just toggle. So you need to add a method, and in here, William, what should I put in here? Thank you. Fantastic. So let's go back, and I'm gonna post, and we see this familiar screen. So Sine, if you see post toggle do here, what does it mean? We don't have this page, right? So what should we do? So we add this one. Thank you. So we go in here. I only have 2 pages so far, guys. So I'm gonna add the third one, toggle. So far so good. And I'm gonna do like the simplest thing ever. If you ever post to this page, I just display the params out. Okay? So I'm gonna try the first one. Oh, that's uninteresting. I have nothing in there. Why? because I have no name. Let's submit so we know what item we're marking. Who has an idea? Input? What? Try anything. Okay, let's say text and then value is this item dot, no, item name. And then we're going to submit this. Name is item name, okay? Let's try. And then if you submit this, you get this name, right? But it's not making sense. I don't need to see this text input. So there is a new type. This is called type hidden. It will submit this for you, but it's just hidden. The user cannot see it. It's all hidden. But if you check in this form, it's in here. The value is learn form for the first item, learn input text for the second. So now I can submit this form. Mark as done, learn form. Mark is done over here, learn input text. Mark is done over here. Are you sure? So, are we feeling okay with params so far? Is it enough? Some of you, already did this, so you know that you need an index, right? I need to mark the first item as done. So I will go into this to-do file, and I will just look at the first one and mark it as done, okay? This one. Or I need to mark, when I click on the second, I can go to the second one. So Ian, can you guess how we do that? Yeah? Item what? Index. Cool. How do we get the index? So right now this is nil. So one way for you is not to do item index. You could do this each with index, right? And there's an index here. That's one way for you to do it. It works. Another way that Oscar did that could be nice is when you create these items, you see map here, you can also add an index here. Okay, so if you map with index, the problem is map with index is a little difficult to understand. So if you add an index here, then we can do what you just said here. Item index will work. Okay? So it means down here I have another input I call item index, and this is hidden is value name index. Let's try. Mark is done. Fantastic. That's index 0. Mark is done. That's index 1. Right? So when you have the index, do you really need the name? No. So maybe you're like, I don't need the name, okay? If you need to send in the status, you can, if you like to, you can change it to a different status. Instead of sending in the current status, you send the opposite status. For a done item, you send this, hey, update me the undone, the status to undone. Okay? But index is enough for this purpose. When I do mark as done, I'll go into this page and I change it. I go to toggle. Where's my toggle? It's at the bottom. So now you have params index. Isn't it right? I'm going to print again, this is params in toggle. I can print it out to the console at the bottom again. It's just nice to see it. You could do this for every page that you do. And then we now have the item index. So we say item index existing. If only we can load the items. If we load these items already, then we can change the items. Any questions? If I have these lines, copy them, put them down here. So now I can get item index. I can get the status, right? If the status is done, then I change it to undone. If the status is undone, I change it to done. So for example, in this case, I always change it to undone. Okay, I mark something, you change it to done. That makes more sense. So now I have a list of new items, and I can print it out to the screen, which is using the index.html.erb again. Who's here to help me guess? When I click here, do you think it will mark this as done for me? No? So let me try. Uh-oh. Not good. This index is a string. You need to convert it to an integer. Anything that comes from the user is a string, right? Alright, let's try it. Whoa! Look at that. But do we understand what's going on? This is my toggle page. This is the params. Right. Let's take a look again. Add again, yeah? Press on this. What index number is it? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Press, mark is done. It's submit index 4. Okay. And then it goes to this, load the items from the to-do. It finds that item and mark it as done and render it out. That's how you implement the done, right? It's quite similar to when you submit an item. You could load from files and then add a new item to it. But if you refresh this page, I mark as done. You see this? It's done. Refresh it and it's gone. Right? I mark something else is done. The previous one is gone. Why is that? It's not stored to files. So for example, here's when you can say store to file, and then you can start, right? You can now open the to-do.md, and you're going to write the entire file this time. And in this file, you're just going to write it. So you say items.each do in this item, right? If item status is done, then you're going to write item name. Else, which is not done, then you're going to write Does this seem alright? It's gonna make sense? So then you save it. So this task is basically saving back to this file. I encourage you to keep the left hand side and the right hand side this for you to see. So if I mark this something is done, can someone help me? What's going on with the syntax? Oh, what is that? Huh. No one can help me. You guys are too sleepy already. Look at to do. Oh, I forgot one thing. Oh my god, now my file is all bad. What do I forget? New line? Oh, fine. This is new line. You can do f.puts, right, if you guys like it. Alright, so this file, I always add a new line. And then, okay, that looks good, right? Both of these cases are entering the new line, so I could just, add a new line here. Is it still clear? Okay, so before I do that, I'm gonna fix my learn from thing here. Fix my mistake. Fix my data file, make sure it's still good, yeah? Okay, I save this file. I open just go back to the home page, make sure everything displays nicely. These two get marked done. So I'm gonna mark the third one. Are you sure? Uh-oh. Hey, it works. Mark the fourth one. It works, right? What about marking the done one? Why does it not? Because you didn't do it, right? We didn't do it. We did it here. That's not good. So at this item, here you can get item is William. How do you get the item from items from items? It's an array. So you get items index, right? So here then you can say if item status is already done, then what should you change its status to? Item status to undone. Else, you change the status to done. If it's not done, then you change it to that. And so you don't need this line anymore. Right? So you just, instead of typing this every time, you're just saving it to the item variable and then you change it. Shall we test it out? Let's not mess with the form again. Alright, let's test it out. Learn form mark is done now. This disappear. This disappear. So that's pretty good, huh? Right? And this is more difficult, right? What have we learned? What have we learned? Cool. Yeah, so this is one thing. You could basically, there is one method that can handle checking, right? We also learned that we use a different form. You have a different form here. See all these red lines? You have multiple forms. You have a form at the bottom that just always creating a new item. You have a form at the top that only find the right item to update. Okay? Right? In this case, you don't need much. You only need the index. Okay? Sometimes you may want to say maybe this item is completed by a username. No? You may send that along. Does that make sense? What if I want to edit? You know, there's an edit button. But I want to edit this learn form into something else. Well, that's difficult, isn't it? Or maybe it's easy. Ian, would you like to try? I need to provide a way to edit. You're going to change this item name up here to input text. Value is what? Item name. Thank you very much. Name is, I'll just call it name. Yeah, would that be okay? So let's check it out. Uh-oh. There's an error somewhere. Always forget this square bracket. Check it out, guys. The red border is making our eyes hurt, so I'm gonna make you guys feel better. Look at that. It's not too bad. I can mark it as done, or I can just change it. Right? Hey, wait, but it's not gonna change now. Do you think it's gonna change? Why not? Look, params, everything stayed. That's good, right? It's submitted. Oh, but Stan is right. We did not stay and save it. Where? In mark as done here in the toggle. So now it's not toggle anymore. Maybe we should call it submit or update, right? But you only check params index. How about you find the index already? How about you also set the item name to be William, the item name will be something from here. Can you help me get the new item name? Thank you. What's the key? Name. So let's see. Right? Let's see. I mark this, I'm going to update this to be this. Mark is done. Hey, look, it stayed there and it got updated in the data as well. We lost something though. Checkbox. This one? No, it's not visible right now because the strike through is not happening. Right? How do we find?
See it in the back.
You can see it?
Is it tucked away between the...
There's a little strike through there, right? It's a bit weird. So maybe I display a checkbox. Let's see if I can display a checkbox. Oscar, if I display this checkbox, can you pre-fill the information? So for example, this is your checkbox. Input type, checkbox. What is the value?
Item.
Oh, that's interesting, right? What is the value? So you say item status? Shall we try that? This one is tricky, huh? This one you may have to watch the video again to understand. Only this part. Oh, this checkbox is not checked. How do you make it checked? Huh? Thank you very much. Now in the old HTML, you always have key and value. Technically, you can type check equals check, or you just leave it as checked. Now, hey, it's always checked. Is that right? No, so I need to do check is something. So I don't need value really, for now. When should it be checked?
So done.
Item is equals to.
Checked. If check is empty, let's see if it works. It's still like that. If check is nothing, it's still like that. So if I wanted to not check, I need the whole thing to be like this. So this is a bit advanced.
Could you do done space question mark?
Here you actually do, if you check the status to be done, if status is done, what string do we put in here? Checked. If status is not done, there's no unchecked, right? So we just don't do anything. So you see, this time we're printing an attribute. So check it out. Right? So that's a little trick, but it's not straightforward to see. Basically, if it's done, then it's like this. There's a shorter format for this though. You can say checked if item is done. Well, if not, you see nothing anyway. So this is a shorter format for those who like to write it short. Does it look cleaner? So that's how you do checked. But of course, we don't want this check to be checked by the user. Let's say, mark is done, check. Well, the user can check this. So if you want the user to do this, then you have to handle submitting. Otherwise, you should disable it. How do you disable it? Add a disable. And then the whole thing will look disabled. So let's see. Yeah? Okay? I could go on forever. I could say, hey, this check marks, let's use this check marks instead of this mark is done. Right? It was just submit, and that's pretty cool. And I'll leave that up to you if you want to try. But I don't think it looks that pretty though, right? So remember our assignment is to build something like this. I decided not to use the check box because it looks quite ugly. So our assignment is just, mark something is done, just print it like this. That's good enough. And you're getting very close to the ability to do this one. There's only one more thing that is just the bonus feature that you guys, haven't been told to discuss. It's just going back to the index page, but it's just sending a different, sort params every time. This is like going back to the home page, and then here you say sort equal done, right? You guys see this? So you can use this if sort is this, then you display the items this way. If sort is ASD, then you display the items in alphabetical order. Okay? So that is descending, then you display the items differently. So your item in your get slash, these items now will have to be a little different. For example, you say if params sort is ascending, then your items will be items.sort, right? But you have to sort by something else, no? Oh, let's say do n down here. You have to sort it by name, right? That is sort by. Okay, so let's try it. If you do it by ascending, are you sure it's at the top? You can add more option down here. So your filter can now work. You can even do a search if you like. I only display the item that has the word, R. Right? This is a query. And then you can only display the item that has the keyword here. You can have a search feature. So I don't have a search feature in your app here, but maybe you should have a search icon. When you tap on it, you can search. Maybe add your search up here. That would be cool, isn't it? Because if you have search here, if param search, let's say Q, because Google does that, remember? Google.com, Q, right, go to school. It will search for this keyword and display all the item, that we need to see down here. So in the same manner, I can filter. I filter the items now, items dot, select only the item. The name actually, have the word params Q. That's an example for you to implement search. Let's see if that works or not. Are you sure?
What if I do here by sort and param sort? Name, okay, that's alphabetical, but what if I do, like if I do status? Does it just take the strings and then do them alphabetically?
Correct.
Okay.
And there are only two of them, so it still works. So here you will basically add else if params sort is done or status, right? You do that, no problem. Then you search here by status. Let's check it out. Sort is status. Then all the done one is at the top because done is before undone.
Yeah.
If you don't like that, reverse the order. They're all at the top here. So we just uncracked something extremely powerful, right? Deciding what data to display. And it's okay to do that in get because we're not changing any data.
Another question. Can I do, in that case, like 2 criteria, so status and then by name?
Yes. Status and then by name. So you want to sort by 2 things.
Yeah,
But how does param understand that? Sometimes, depending on your usage, some people may say, I want sort 1, sort 2. It's like, status is more important than that. That's not very sexy, right? Or some people may do like, by default, if you sort by status, I can check that first and I always sort by name after that. You know, you can sort by name first, and then you sort by status. The thing you sort by last will maintain the order, and the thing you sort before that will be the second sort condition. No, but maybe we want to do like what you said, sort here status as the first, and then name is the second, something like that, right? ASDC. If you do this, enter, look, status and ASC. So maybe you cannot do this anymore. You can do, of course, you can do if params sort is status ASC, right? That is a bit manual. Another one is you can say criteria is param status split by the comma sign. Then you have the first criteria is status and the second criteria is ASC, and you can work with your data that way. Now that's more advanced. For example, I'm gonna do criteria here and then criteria dot each do. Now here's your sort, and now inside this each you can say if sort is ASC, then you sort by that. Then you sort by ASC. Else, if sort is status, then you sort by status. So I'm gonna, okay, not param status, param sort. Sorry. So let's delete this and see if we can do this, okay? And see if you guys can understand this. So now my criteria is the string status ASC or just status. It doesn't matter. But when I split, I get more than one criteria, so I just go through each one of them. Let's try it, right? Let's try this right now and make this window a little smaller. And make this window a little bigger. Alright, status and ASC. So you sort ASC the second time. You sort status first, but then ASC take over. If you start ASC and then status, you will see that it's alphabetical, but then status this done take over. So it's a bit actually this depending whether they keep the, because I do reverse, remember? If I don't do reverse, it will here. You'll see that it's both alphabetical and done come first. Right? Obviously this is like getting very advanced where you start to have to use logic. Okay, if I submit a form, if you sort by these two things, I will have ASC and status. You can create a link, your link will be sort by status and name, and this link go to this page, and this page now you check out the sort by splitting the criteria that way. Any final questions? Oh, try to come up with something. I know it's end of day, it's tiring, but it's meant to both summarize what you've learned the whole day, and for those who are ahead, I can push you guys a little further. Would it be enough to do the homework? Probably. Push to Trello. I can definitely add harder tasks afterward. But I think for this week we have achieved quite a lot. If you guys are not there with the lab, I encourage you that it's a lot of text, but it's both lab and lecture notes at the same time. Any other notes, you can always go online and just Google. So I'm not interested in providing, like, for example, this is exactly how you define a Ruby hash, or you can always just go in there and start typing, Ruby hash or HTML, form or Sinatra params. You can always read a little bit more, or ERB syntax, right? There are people who write better stuff, but what we have here is that I need everyone to focus on that milestone task and then go. If you're stuck, you're able to say exactly where you're stuck. You tell us like, hey, I'm stuck in milestone A2 and the instruction is not clear at step 4. Okay? So don't get too lost and you're like, oh, if I just follow along, it will solve itself. No, it will not. Because it will just build up on the previous one. And, it's meant to guide if you're stuck. But if you like to tweak things, like make any changes here. I changed the padding, I changed the text. Do it so that you feel more comfortable. Make the code yours. All right. Thanks all for today. Tomorrow we have a lunch and learn by you, right, Oscar? Awesome. So we all have free food for lunch and free knowledge. Tonight we will go to a dinner together. Some people cannot make it. Ian has another class. Man, that's commitment. He's taking another class right here, next door, the iOS class. Cool. So see some of you at the street food place tonight. You won't make it, right? See you next week. Yeah. Next week we could maybe try lunchtime. Maybe something that is just fun and everyone can make it. All right. Thanks all.